Hand waving before we begin. Just imagine you're standing in a lobby, minding your business, and a little girl walks up to you, her eyes filled with hope, her voice trembling, and she asks, "Are you my daddy?" You wouldn't believe what happened next. Stick with us, because this story will touch your heart in ways you didn't expect, and by the end, you might just believe in miracles again. It was a rainy Tuesday morning in downtown Chicago when Ethan Wallace, the elusive billionaire CEO of Wallace Tech, stepped into the glossy marble-floored lobby of his corporate headquarters. With an umbrella tucked under his arm and a phone pressed to his ear, he barely noticed the rush of interns, managers, and assistants bustling around him. He was focused, cold, and used to commanding empires, not emotions. But that morning, fate had a different plan. Near the large window that overlooked the street, sat a small girl. No older than 5, with tangled brown curls and oversized rain boots, she clutched a tattered teddy bear whose ear was sewn on with red thread. She looked out of place in the sharp, polished world of skyscrapers and suits. People walked past her like she was invisible, too busy to ask why a child was alone in a place like this. Until Ethan's eyes briefly met hers. He would later swear he wasn't sure why he stopped. Maybe it was the way her eyes mirrored a familiar pain. Maybe it was the way she didn't beg or cry, just sat there silently like she was waiting for something. Or someone. He paused, something stirring inside him. And that's when she stood up, walked over to him, and with the quiet innocence only a child could possess, asked the words that would shake the foundation of his world. "Are you my daddy?" The entire lobby froze. Conversations halted. Phones lowered. All eyes turned. Ethan, the man known for hostile takeovers and zero emotional display, felt his throat close. His assistant, Emily, whispered nervously, "Mr. Wallace, should I call security?" But Ethan couldn't speak. The little girl looked up at him like she'd finally found something, or someone she had been missing. He crouched down, trying to find the words. "What did you say, sweetheart?" She looked at him, her voice still soft. "My mommy said my daddy was tall, had hair like the sun, and worked in a big building. I saw your picture in the newspaper once. Mommy cried when she saw it. Then she got sick, and now she's gone." Gone. The word hit him like a hammer. "I think you're my daddy," she whispered. Ethan's heart pounded. This had to be some mistake. He had no children, no relationships that serious, no family that he knew of. His life was work, and more work. "And yet, where's your mommy now?" he asked. The little girl hugged her bear tighter. "She went to heaven last week. A nice neighbor lady brought me here. She said I should try to find you." Emily gasped quietly behind him. Someone else whispered, Is she serious?" Ethan felt his world tilt. "What's your name?" "Lila," she said. "Lila James." James. The name froze him in place. 15 years ago, he had fallen for a waitress named Caroline James. They were young, poor, and wild in love. But then came his scholarship, the pressure, the ambition. He left without a goodbye, thinking love could wait. He never went back. Could this little girl be hers? His mind raced. "How old are you, Lila?" 5.5, she said proudly. "Do the math. Caroline, he left around 6 years ago. Could she have been pregnant and never told him?" His chest felt tight. "Lila, do you have any family?" She shook her head. "Just you." A silence fell again. Emily whispered, "Sir, maybe we should get someone to handle this." "No," Ethan said suddenly, standing up. "She's not a problem to handle." He looked at Lila again, her eyes so filled with hope it nearly undid him. In that moment, something shifted inside him. A part of his heart that had been sealed behind boardroom doors and concrete ambitions cracked open. He took her hand gently. "Let's go somewhere quiet, okay? We'll figure this out." And that's how the coldest man in the building left the lobby, with a little girl's tiny fingers in his palm, and an entire company left stunned. What followed was a whirlwind of DNA tests, late-night memories, and moments that made him question everything he thought he wanted. The story isn't over yet, because what Ethan did next didn't just change his life, it changed hers too. Glowing star, before we dive in, ask yourself, what if the person you never knew you needed was the one standing right in front of you all along? Welcome back to the second chapter of this touching story. And if you're just joining us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon, because stories like this remind us what truly matters. The next 48 hours turned Ethan Wallace's world upside down. Back at the penthouse he called home, Ethan sat in his study, once his sanctuary, now a storm of emotions. Across from him, little Lila sat on the couch, swinging her legs, humming to her bear, unaware of how drastically her simple question had altered the life of one of the most powerful CEOs in the country. Emily, his longtime assistant and the closest thing he had to a friend, returned with documents from the expedited DNA lab. Her hands trembled as she handed over the results. Ethan stared at the envelope like it held the weight of the world. In a way, it did. He opened it. Positive. 99.98% probability. He was her father. Ethan's breath caught. His legs weakened. His heart slammed into his ribs, not from fear, but from an overwhelming mix of awe, guilt, wonder, and joy. Lila, his daughter, his own flesh and blood. Tears stung his eyes. I'm her dad, Emily exhaled. Yes, you are. And for the first time in decades, Ethan Wallace cried. The next few days were a crash course in parenting, humility, and rediscovering humanity. Board meetings were missed. Private jets stayed grounded. And for the first time in his life, Ethan didn't care if stock prices dipped. He was learning how to braid hair. He was helping a 5-year-old pick bedtime stories. He was reading books about raising a child, highlighting passages like he used to study acquisition deals. But Lila didn't need a CEO. She needed a dad, and that realization shook him harder than any hostile takeover ever had. One night, while she was asleep with her teddy tucked under her chin, Ethan sat at the edge of her tiny new bed, the one he had hand-picked and helped assemble himself, and whispered, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there when you were born. I'm sorry I left your mommy. I didn't know I had something so precious waiting for me. The room was quiet, save for her tiny breaths. Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out an old photo, Caroline, smiling beside a street food cart, wearing his college hoodie. She had been radiant. He never forgot her. And now, she lived on in the child before him. The next morning, Ethan made a bold announcement. In a press conference that stunned the media, the elusive CEO revealed the existence of his daughter. Yes, I am a father. Her name is Lila, and from this moment on, my priorities have changed. The headlines exploded. Billionaire CEO steps down temporarily to raise daughter he never knew. Investors panicked, but the world applauded, because for once, it wasn't about money, it was about love. Lila started at a small kindergarten in the suburbs, where Ethan personally walked her to class every morning. He packed her lunches, often too big, too healthy, and missing the candy she always snuck in anyway. He learned how to French braid. He built pillow forts. He sang lullabies, even though he couldn't carry a tune. And every night, before bedtime, Lila would ask him, will you be here tomorrow, Daddy? Every time, he answered, yes, baby. Forever and always. Months passed. Their bond deepened. Ethan began speaking at conferences, not about business, but about fatherhood. He donated millions to single-parent homes and orphan initiatives. He launched the Caroline Fund, named after Lila's mother, helping struggling mothers get medical care, childcare, and job opportunities. But none of that compared to the joy of hearing Lila laugh. Or the way she wrapped her arms around his neck and whispered, you're the best daddy ever. One day, while they were drawing stick figures together on the kitchen floor, Lila looked up and said, you're happier now. You smile more. Ethan nodded, heart full. That's because I found the part of my heart I didn't know was missing. Years later, when Lila grew older and learned the full story, of how her mommy never told Ethan about the pregnancy, of the neighbor who helped her reach him, and of the storm that brought them together, she wept. And then she hugged him tighter than ever before. You didn't choose to leave, she said. But you chose to stay. And that's what matters. Rainbow. So if you're still watching this, let this be your reminder. Sometimes life gives us a second chance in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes a single question like, are you my daddy? Can change not just a day, but a destiny. And sometimes, the coldest hearts are just waiting for the right voice to warm them again. Sparkles, if this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with someone who needs a little faith in family, in second chances, in love. Speech balloon, drop a comment below. What would you do if a child asked you the same question? Heart subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Stories that heal, inspire, and bring us back to what really matters, love, family, and the courage to start over.